was walking when she walked in. Like she was walking when she walked in.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. With me here today is
Frida.
Okay, so today in my last video I mentioned that I was going to do something like this, you know, talking about my house job experience. And I'm going to be doing a session where I talk about, I'm basically going to give like a recount of my experience as a house officer, you know, like the good times, the bad times, the also pretty times. And Goddy is going to help me to do that. Also, please like the video and subscribe if you haven't done that. Please. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, let's get right into the video. For those that don't know, we are both very junior doctors.
Very very.
Yeah, we just completed our mandatory 2 years housemanship in Ghana. Yes, and we decided to share the experience with you guys today, and so that's what we're going to be doing. Now, but Frida, can you tell us what is housemanship?
As one of my favorite lecturers put it, when slavery was abolished, housemanship took its place. It's basically a 2-year period of slavery. So like to be fair, there's a 2-year mandatory period for every junior doctor, at least in Ghana and some other countries where like it's a probation sort of thing. Like if so within that period you
Got it. Did not ask you to write essay.
No problem. Yeah. So house officers are doctors, but they are working under supervision. After those 2 years, they can work without supervision. So that's what housemanship is.
Yeah, that's it. After graduating medical school, we are required to work for 2 years under supervision. You know, we go through like 4 main departments. The 4 main departments in the hospital: internal medicine, surgery, pediatrics and child health, and obstetrics and gynecology. Some people decide to change some of the main departments for others, like psychiatry or pathology or anesthesia, but generally this is it, the 4 main departments over the period of 2 years, meaning that you do 6 months in each department. That's how it goes. And when I say it is not easy,
some parts are not too bad. Let's not make it entirely bad. Come on, like I mean, there were some fun parts when there.
There were some fun parts. Yeah. Okay, so yes, what does house job or housemanship entail? So, as a junior doctor, as a baby doctor,
I know
you are required to make a provisional diagnosis and a number of differential diagnoses.
What is provisional diagnosis, Dr. Amarachi Onyabako?
My bad, sorry. So a provisional diagnosis is basically the first diagnosis. We call it the working diagnosis. So this is what we are working with. If you come with, say, something like a chest pain, based on other things that we ask you and other things that we find out, we think it may be a myocardial infarction. If it's not this, it could also be a pulmonary embolism. So this is a differential diagnosis. Based on the provisional diagnosis, we request labs to be done to either rule it in or rule it out. Okay, so that's what the provisional diagnosis is. So yes, as a junior doctor, as the house officer, you're supposed to see the patients, clerk the patients, examine the patients, make a... Can you not do this? Can you not do this? Can we not do this? Google is your friend.
So, clerking, they're asking you questions to see what's wrong with you, basically. You're welcome. Continue.
Yeah, that's what she said. So yes, based on that, we request labs to be done, and this is all part of your job as a junior doctor. It doesn't end there. You have to go and read all the diagnoses you have put down. You have to go and read on all of them, including the ones you've not even put down, because they can ask you questions from anywhere. But then yes, when you finish seeing the patients, you're supposed to present the patient during rounds. Yeah, and you're also responsible for reviewing the patients, you know, every day until discharge. That's basically, in a nutshell, you know, what we do. Yeah. Have I forgotten anything else?
That and we'll get to the details later. That's basically like it's not
Okay, so yes, we started this by talking about how house job is slavery and everything, but I mean, like, it wasn't always that bad. For example, I mean, we had like some good times, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Can you remember like your favorite moments as a house officer?
I can name a few. I can't, to be very honest, I can't like pinpoint one particular thing that made one point. But I love it when like you do your best for a patient and then you see results. That thing is so fulfilling. It's so fulfilling. Especially when it comes to kids.
You know that thing where like the patient comes to you and is like
they are
unconscious and like and then the next day they're like up on their beds and like, are you the same person I saw yesterday? Those were like really fulfilling moments.
I remember like my first few days and like I called my dad and I was like, maybe it's not so bad. Like maybe this is almost like it's not so bad. Like, after my first day I was like second day drained, but I think in the first 2 weeks I was like, okay, like when you see results, it really like boosts like your confidence.
That's true.
It gives you some fulfillment. For me, it's even better with the kids because they can come in almost dying, and then because of some knowledge that someone has imparted in you, you're able to like help out. I'm not going to say you're going to do everything, you're not what, but like, you're able to do something to help the person out. It's some of the best feelings ever.
That's true.
And I have names in my head talking about this right now.
And it's even better because you saw the patients first, so you know what you were dealing with in the beginning.
Exactly.
Okay. And then in the same vein, what was like your worst moment as a house officer? When did you actually like did you have that should I be doing this moment? When was that? What happened?
I do not mean to discourage anybody. No.
But the whole house job.
I do not mean to discourage anybody, but I cannot count the number of times I just like examples. There was a day a patient like passed away and the relatives were not forthcoming with treatments and everything, so it was very difficult to keep up with the patient's treatments, and the patient passed away that day. I was like, why am I here? Why is a young woman like me, who should be enjoying her life, her youth, standing here seeing such misery, such suffering?
It's worse in internal medicine. Internal medicine is one depressing department. Ironically, I want to be an internist. But it's depressing. It's depressing. It's depressing.
Like sometimes like you're like, no matter what you do.
I remember there was this one patient. She was quite elderly though. I mean, like sometimes we try to console ourselves by
She was going to happen anyway.
But
it's still not easy.
She came into the emergency. I was on duty that day, and she was in a wheelchair, but she was still full of life. And subsequently, after admitting her, she had like cardiovascular issues, lots and lots of them, in addition to stroke.
Cardiovascular heart.
In addition to stroke and some other things. But like the stroke wasn't a new one, it was an old stroke, but like I mean she was still not really, she hadn't really fully regained functionality. But yes, she went from being in a wheelchair to being bedridden for days and eventually passing away. And like she went from being able to talk to being unable to talk to being unconscious. You know, she couldn't even open her eyes anymore to eventually passing away. I felt really bad because I saw her and she was so full of life, and in the next 3 or 4 days she was gone. And this happens like a lot. I can't count how many times it happened in internal medicine.
It's sad because
so those were like one of not very good moments. Breaking bad news. How can I forget? I mean, watching the patient's progress from life to death is difficult enough. And now I have to look the relatives in the eyes and
tell
say,
them, I'm sorry. He or she could not make it.
Yeah, those were my favorite moments. They're still not. I don't like breaking bad news. I don't think anybody actually enjoys breaking bad news. You guys, when you go to the hospital and you see us, telling like relatives that this is what has happened, and we look really calm outside. That is not what is happening inside. Inside, we're
I remember there was one day, there was this patient that came. Oh God. Now this patient that came, the condition was already bad. It was a terminal illness, but she was walking when she walked in. Like she was walking when she walked in.
She was walking when she crawled in.
She walked in, but her condition wasn't too good. I suspected metastasis. So
metastasis, the
spread of the
cancer to other parts of the
so
body.
I decided to admit, even though like it didn't look too bad at the time, but I just my gut, like I trust your gut feeling. That's the thing with this job, just trust your gut feeling. So I decided to admit, and the story was so sad. This woman had walked a distance from. What example can we use? I don't know what example we could, but it was a really long distance to come and take her chemo in the morning. She walked back home this long distance, and she was unwell and walked back to the hospital because she had no money for transport, literally no money. So when she got there, she was breathless. So she was blaming the walking for the breathlessness. And I was like, nah, something is happening. I admitted. I was literally awake the whole night trying to keep this woman alive.
Yeah,
I went to sleep for 1 hour.
That thing.
1 hour. Like when she was stabilized, she was stable. I was constantly checking her vitals every 30 minutes and everything. I went to sleep for 1 hour. I came back and I was trying to review. Looked at this woman, I was like, oh my God. Like, that fear gripped me. I was like, no, not for my watch.
So it happened.
It happened. It happened. I cried like a baby.
That's like another painful thing about house job. Sometimes I feel like it's the ones that you actually take extra care of.
Those are the ones that just
break your heart.
Yes, like I wept like a
break
baby.
your heart.
I wept, and I really want to like really thank my boss at the time. I was supposed to present my patients that morning to her, and I was a mess. I just couldn't speak one word without crying. She took me to one of the like private rooms and just hugged me, patted me at the back, told me it's okay. We are not God. These things happen. I just couldn't. And what made it worse was when I was presenting another patient, the mother came in and started crying, and started shouting, started wailing. I was like, yes, she just allowed me to do. So when I imagine breaking the news to such a woman, what am I going to say? Like she already knows the patient has passed. What am I going to say? And me myself, I'm crying.
Well, yeah, I mean, it happens, and I'm pretty sure every junior doctor in Ghana, in Nigeria, in fact, all over the world can relate. Like, you've lost patients that you didn't expect to die, and like, they just died suddenly, even after you've put in all your best. Just really, it reinforces the fact that we can only do so much as humans. Anyways, moving on. Yes, most traumatic experience of a house officer. Yes, I think everybody that worked with me knows this story. I'm laughing. I am still traumatized. I still get traumatized by it.
I'm telling you, it's nothing. Okay, it's something, but it's nothing. Really.
I developed PTSD. So this is what happened. I had this patient. I had spent a couple weeks or more with this patient. She had like a bunch of things, like virtually all her organs were failing, from her heart to her kidney. Okay, her liver wasn't failing, but like her respiratory system was compromised. She kept getting, because she was in heart failure, she kept getting like pulmonary effusions. Basically, you have like water in your lungs. You're basically drowning in your own water. Oh, I like this song. Anyways, yes. Yes, and I'd spent like weeks with her. I'd gotten attached. Kids, do not get attached to your patients.
Don't. But I had empathy, but don't get too attached. It really hurts.
I'd gotten attached unintentionally because, like I said, every morning you have to come and review your patients, and every morning, I was always going to review her. She couldn't afford the chest tube at that time, so every time the water in her lungs built up, we had to like do it the traditional crude way, stick in the needle and take it out and that happened like every 2 days, every 3 days. So it was very. She had practically gotten used to the pain. Imagine getting used to pain. Like, that's crazy. Anyways, on this fateful day, it was supposed to be a quick. It was a weekend. I remember so well because it was the beginning of 2020. Actually, you can't think of it. The beginning of my years have not been nice. Because the beginning of 2021, I had another traumatic experience. I'll talk about that one again. Anyway, so beginning of 2020 was in January. I think. No. It was towards the end of 2019. Rather, it was in December.
I think it was over Christmas.
Yes, I think it was 29 December or so. It was towards the ending of December. She, after reviewing her, after writing down my findings and everything, we were just doing like a quick one around the world and then we leave, for the day. And then she suddenly starts to cough. And like, it was so frantic. Frantic is correct, right? But like, it was so bad and she was coughing up blood. I've been with her 2 weeks and more. She had never coughed up blood. That was the first. And it kept happening. And it was like frank blood in clothes. And she was looking at me like, "Doctor, help me."